Thank you for joining the Dancing Oracle with Najia and special guest Eileen from the UK. And she is going to tell you how she manifested her prince. We are doing part two of how to manifest your prince. And she talked about in the previous video, which you definitely want to check out in the video links above. There's a video link above that tells you the story of how she shifted her energy and vibrated and put out the radio signals for manifesting true love and caring for herself first and getting rid of toxicity and negative thoughts and negative everything. Big complete overhaul. I've known her for at least 25 years. I knew her when she was single and angst about this whole, you know, finding someone. And then when she met her prince and how happy she is since 2002, is that it?
Yeah.
Wow. He's great. I've had many conversations with her husband, and he's a sweetheart. So we're going to hear all about that. So Eileen, I want to have you talk about, once you put out that frequency, that positive vibration, and raised your self esteem and your self care through pampering and many other means, getting rid of toxicity and toxic people and patterns, taking your focus off love. And last we spoke, you said it finds you when you stop trying and you least expect it. Okay, let's talk about that idea for a moment before you introduce the love story. All right?
I think that so many people feel a lot of pressure, and we did talk about that in the last video.
Yeah.
Pressure all around, and that pressure just sometimes releases, as we had talked about, the wrong type of energy. So, by purging yourself, by just concentrating on your talents, your capabilities, which is what I did, and not dating anyone. Not to say that you should do what I did, but I just did not want to get involved in any relationships whatsoever. And for 6 years, I just was working and pampering myself, um, just again, working on things that I felt I needed in order to progress spiritually and in order to get that positive energy in my life and to draw positive energy to me as well. Um, do you want me to progress and talk about what
Oh,
happened when I did that, Najia?
let me just say a couple things about what you just said. Thanks for asking.
Okay.
So we talked about, she was talking about pampering herself. She went to spas, she traveled, she did the things, you know, that she wanted to do with that person in her life, which didn't happen yet. And I want to just say that all the things Eileen did for herself, including working on her spiritual self, she attracted a guy that pampers her, spoils her, does so much for, like, she loved herself the way she wanted this man, whoever this man would be, to love her. And because she loved herself that much, that's what she gave out to the universe. And I just wanted everyone to know that, because this is the main purpose of my channel. It's not all about doing psychic readings. It's all about psychic energy. And this love story is all about the psychic energy we give out, you know, and the frequency and what we get back in return. By the way, I just thought I mentioned this early on. If you're enjoying this video series or anything in my channel, it really helps to get this story out and all the other good content if you hit the like button, you share the video, you subscribe for free, and we'd love hearing from you in the comments. We both would love to hear what you have to say. And yeah, because her guy is into spirituality too, in a very interesting way that relates to this channel. And he's going to come on and talk about that later. So, yeah. So now she has a really good, juicy love story and how she ended up moving thousands of miles away. So, and how she manifested her prince. So, tell us about how this all started, Eileen.
Well, if someone said to me, you're going to meet the man of your dreams and then move to Great Britain, I would have said, oh, come on. Hello.
Hello.
What had happened was I had been working for a wonderful company where, as I explained in the last video, one was rewarded by making their budget quarterly with all type of wonderful prizes and travel and of course, financial incentives. So by pouring myself into my work, I was able to really and truly, and I was very fortunate, travel to so many places that I would not have had the opportunity to do. And it was on one occasion where our sales contest was closing that day, and I had all my sales in, I had made my budget, and then there was that phone call on the drive home, leaving my territory, with my boss telling me, "Oh, Eileen, I'm really sorry. You've no longer made your bonus because your client just canceled his order. So I'm afraid to say that unfortunately you're not going to make the Hawaii trip incentive." Well, I was already buying bikinis and all kind of Hawaiian shirts, and I just knew I was going to Hawaii. That was the worst thing I could have heard.
I know, right? You're so excited. But the universe had something else in store for you.
Yes, it did. Because it knew how much I really and truly wanted to be rewarded for all of my hard work. And I was literally just over the amount that I needed to be. And what had happened was that client, by canceling his order, put me so far back that I didn't stand a chance in making my budget that quarter. So as I was driving home, I looked to the side, saw a travel agency. My car went right into the parking lot. I walked in and I said, "I want to go to Europe." And they gave me a brochure and they said, "Sure. When do you want to go?" And the book opened up to this lovely 2.5-week holiday to 5 or 6 countries. And I said, "I'll take this one." And
it was that fast. It was all going through the intuition, right?
Absolutely. And the gal that was the daughter of the owner said to me, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, when do you want to go?" And I chose the exact date that everyone was going to go to Hawaii. And I thought, I'm going to Europe. I'm going to someplace better.
Yeah.
So at that point, things were put into motion. Of course, as one would, one tells their mother. And my mother told my brother, my little brother, and my little brother.
Right?
Yeah.
Because he's a key part of the story. Would she have been blind to the love that was bestowed upon her if her brother didn't go?
Well,
I screwed up the story. Oh, God.
No.
I cat out of the bag.
The way it happened, it was just precious. It was
divine orchestration.
It definitely was. So here I was on this escorted tour with my brother, all these honeymooners, all these other couples. I mean, it was priceless. So, um, we're in Europe, and I had a tour director. Tour director was, unbeknownst to me, single at the time. And my little brother was the one that said to me, you know what? That tour director likes you. And I said to him, I said, oh, come on, get a life. He said, no, I'm a guy. I know about this stuff. And so,
Thank God he went, right?
yeah. So we said, well, take a look. He said, pay attention. So that's what I did. So at one point, I got up, and we had to fill out a questionnaire, and I dropped my pen, and I got
Can you
up.
show us what you did? Because she's got a shapely body.
I got up, and I went like this.
No, but you did it a certain way, like Legally Blonde. You did that whole.
Well, when I
You're a little
got
shy in
back,
front of the camera right now. She did it a certain way to check it out and took a look at what he was looking at.
he was actually looking like this. That's what I saw when I came back up. And so it was almost as if a light bulb went off in my head. And I thought, wow, he's not bad looking. I mean, I was not shopping men. What can I
Yeah.
say? I was there to have a good time. Eiffel Tower. I mean, Statue of David. I didn't care about shopping for a man. That was the last thing on my mind. That's how this thing works.
Yeah, that's how it works.
As far as
Because
the
when you
cosmos.
least expect it, but you have everything else lined up energetically, is the
Yes.
key.
Yes.
Your psychic energy all has to be in the right place.
And it was.
And
And,
it was.
unbeknownst to me, all this was going on, and I was just sort of like a little pawn in the whole orchestration of things. But at that point, I started, as I said, I started taking stock and looking at him and thinking, wow. And then, of course, all the charm came out, because every time I would exit off the bus, there was the hand taking my hand with that little smile.
Wow. Because he got a little
Yeah.
validation. He got, is she flirting with me by picking up that pen that way?
He would walk down the aisle of the bus and look at me, and just, eyebrows went up. So a lot of what went on was very interesting, because at that point I thought, oh, okay, we have something going on. Yet after the tour was finished, I heard nothing from him.
Yeah, but wait a minute. But didn't he do something when the last day of the tour, he asked for your number or something?
Well, he did. We were crossing the channel, and we were taking the hovercraft, and it was a little bit of a rough ride.
Mm.
And at that point, I was so upset that I was going to be getting seasick. I didn't know what to do, and he suggested I have some beer. So I absolutely got sloshed because I didn't even remember our dialogue and him
I've
saying
never
this
seen you
was going to be the
sloshed.
last time that he was going to see me, because at that point he was coming back to London, and he was going to go off with another tour group. So
Mm.
the whole thing was just so funny. He was asking for my details, uh,
Details.
name, and well, that's an English term. What can I say? Do you have
Oh,
your
it's an
details?
English
Do
term.
I
Can
have
I
your
have your
details?
details?
And of course, he already had them. He's
He
my
had
tour
them, but he had to
director.
like, instead of, is it okay to reach out with your details? want your details.
Well, I gave him my details. And then afterwards, we went back to our hotel, and he was saying his final farewell. And we were standing there shaking hands. And I think I must have looked in his eyes, and he was looking in my eyes as we were shaking hands. Well, Mr. Rosine, it was wonderful having you on my tour. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, Mr. Tinney. Oh my gosh, you were such a great tour director. This went on for about 10 minutes. Meanwhile, everybody was looking out the windows of the bus, and they were
Oh, they were cued in. They could feel the heat. What they were all like, what you could feel like during this tour, were people feeling this chemistry?
I think they were. Najia, I really, honestly and truly, I do, because afterwards, I had been in contact with this one couple, and when I said to them that I was going to, of course, fast forward, I was
Yeah.
going to marry the tour director, they said, "Oh, we knew it, we knew it, we knew
We knew it. Oh my God. I
it."
wonder if they
Yeah,
were taking bets on the bus.
they,
Who knew what was going on behind the scenes? First, you're clueless that he even liked you. Then you're clued in. And then now we realize the whole bus is in on the romance.
everybody
Feeling
was
it.
in on it, everybody but me.
Everyone but you. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but as I said, afterwards, there was this little bit of a letdown because once I came back to Philadelphia, and he obviously finished his season out, and unbeknownst to me, was doing a lot of work around his home, and I hadn't heard from him. And then 9/11 came,
yeah.
and suddenly, after months of silence and no word whatsoever, I had gotten a message on my answer machine asking if I was okay, if I had any relatives that lived in New York, and so forth and so on. And he did announce himself as the world tour director.
He's so
And I thought,
proud.
okay, So
The world tour.
after that, things just absolutely just took such a fast turn. I mean,
I
he was calling
know.
me, I was calling him, I was coming over to England, he was coming over to Philly, and back and forth and back and
I think
forth.
he was
And within a year,
flying you out, right?
we
He
were
was,
married.
oh, I know. And how did he handle all that dating in the beginning? Like, did he fly you out, or how was it
Um,
approached? Like, what was it
well,
like?
it
Or
just, you know what? It just happened. I don't think there was really any real planning as far as him saying, I've arranged a flight for you. It was, I mean, believe me, I was talking to him twice a day after, absolutely, yeah. So I mean, I had my phone call in the morning, my phone call in the evening, and with the time change, 5 hours, it was a little tricky. But whenever I had holiday or whenever I could get away, and that was the beauty about being in sales, I could write my own schedule.
yeah,
And so
that
I
was the
was
good
very
part.
fortunate to be able to do that. So I
Yeah.
didn't really have too much in my way. And so, yeah, I mean, I probably came over to England about 3 or 4 times, and he the same to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So what can I say? You just never know. I mean,
You just
it's
never
one
know.
of
It's
those,
so unexpected.
yeah,
And I
one
just
of those
remember,
things
like,
where it just happens, and it happens when everything is right. When everything is meant to be, and when you don't force it, and you just are true to yourself. And that's my story.
oh, it's such a wonderful love story. How this happened, and because I remember you before, and being in single angst, and in your 40s, and things weren't happening, and just like, is it ever going to happen? And you know, and you had, you know, bad relationships that really people, not just, the thing is, I want women to realize psychically what we put out, you're also going to get the same from, you know, if you're not working on it, friendships. Like, you're getting toxicity coming back at you, or doormat or breadcrumbs. You know, I see a
Yeah.
lot of women in my community getting a lot of breadcrumbs, and they're giving a lot, and they're getting breadcrumbs, and they're getting a lot of promises. So you worked on clearing yourself of that. You worked on just focusing on yourself, pampering, and then when you least expected it and were totally oblivious to any attention that your brother was super aware of, and the entire bus was like expecting you to get married and you didn't even know he liked you. And then there was like this whirlwind, and you know, and I always wondered that, you know, I would hear you say it's good and stuff like that, but you never know because we all have our clouded vision. I know I did in my ex marriage, right? But I have seen this man show. This man doesn't just talk. This man shows you demonstratively in so many ways how much he loves you, just as much as you show him how much you love him. I see the face, you know, I know the kind of person you are. I see what you do for him, and you know, and I've seen what he does for you. And it's just like, gosh, what a man.
Well,
She
it
really,
is mutual respect, and
yeah,
there's just so much. There's setting boundaries, um, and getting back to what you said before. I think what is really important when you were talking about breadcrumbs and
yeah.
being a doormat, I think a lot of us, we don't realize it, but we play the victim, and that is a bad card to play.
Yeah.
And it's a cycle that is easy to get involved in. And to break that cycle it does take a little bit of work. But I think that, you know, once you do that and once you realize one's self-worth and one's accomplishments and the fact that, you know, each one of us is very, very special. And
Yeah.
I think that's when you can expect a change. And that's when the energy will change as well. And you'll find that the energy that you give off is true and it's not somebody else's energy. It's
Yeah, not
your
someone
energy.
else's.
It's
Yeah,
that
like, because
positive energy
you felt how lovable
because
you
it's from the
were.
heart.
Yeah. And you couldn't help but being loved because you're so lovable. Because you acknowledged how lovable you are. You know, and it
But you
wasn't
can't reach that point until you value yourself.
true. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, as women, we tend to like serve others, you know, and make sacrifices. So it kind of happens, we end up with the breadcrumbs so easily because we're conditioned by society. And then we both grew up Catholic. Did we go to the same, I wonder, did we go to the same grade school? I wonder. Because we grew up in the same.
Well, same township, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
you know, growing up Catholic and a woman, you really are conditioned to feel like you can't ask for anything for yourself, anything that's important to you. And that, you know, all of that, right? It makes it, it makes you sacrifice, self-sacrificing for no reason. It makes you a martyr for nothing, you know?
Exactly. Yes. And it's easy to be a victim or play
Yes.
that victim card
Yeah.
and
And then
to
your
go down
girlfriends get
that,
in on it. They all like, yeah,
yeah,
you know, you get the support emotionally, and the, you know, because women go through that together, you know, and instead Eileen empowered herself. This is the whole point of the channel. She got in touch with her divine nature. She did a spiritual assessment of what she's putting out energetically. Turned the dial. She worked on herself, and she turned the dial to a different channel. And when you turn the dial to a different channel, you get a different audience.
Yes, you do.
Get a different audience.
Yes.
Yeah. And you can choose what channel you want to be on, and that's the whole point. And listen, we are going to hear about the most adorable in part 3. As I got to know her hubby through his demonstrations of love, and I just thought, I'm so happy for my friends. I'm so happy for my dear friends. And we're going to hear the cutest stories. And what was the name of the duck that he built a pond for? Pooter? Or
Hooper.
Pooper. You're going to, if you're an animal lover, and you want to hear a story about a man that's a real man, that knows how to treat his sweetie, and, you know, through what he does, and how, just so beautiful. So we're going to tune into that in part 3. If you're a video member, you're going to see all of this immediately, but I will be dropping these videos every Friday so you can see the full story and be inspired. So thank you for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe. And I want to ask, before we sign off, if Eileen has anything else to summarize for our viewing audience about her experience. Is there any last words you want to say to the people watching part 2?
Just be true to yourself, give to others, pamper yourself, treasure yourself.
That's it. Very good advice, because I do see that's not happening in my community. And I really wanted to have her on to benefit you, to see the reality of what it can be. So we're going to find out how great her prince is next. All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers. Cheers. Ta-da. Bye.